Stefano Silvestri from Corriere della Sera, Italian newspaper. Thanks.
Okay then, hi there. So without further ado, I start with my first question. This year I've seen the movie of Warcraft, I've seen the movie of Kingsglaive from Final Fantasy 15, and now Assassin's Creed, which is honestly one step above all the rest of the movies. This movie looks quite mature, quite dark, and even more mature and more dark than the game is. Which the game has a more light atmospheres. So why did you choose to give this vision of Assassin's Creed in the movie instead of differently from the game?
Well, I think it just naturally, organically, sort of headed towards a more, I don't know, serious tone. We were conscious of making it entertaining and embracing, I think, the energy and the dynamic of the game. But I think that, you know, it's interesting, the film, because it deals with, I think, you know, quite deep ideas of, you know, genetic memory and you know, the ideologies of free will versus control. So, you know, I think that we tried in places to find a kind of lightness, but I think predominantly the film has, you know, some serious things in it that are kind of expressed through this pretty dynamic world of Assassin's Creed.
Okay. On the way back home from after seeing the movie, I was discussing with my friend that in the game, the part outside the animals are very, very small. The game is 95% inside the animals. In the movie of Assassin's Creed, I would say that it's more the time that you spend outside the animals in reality. And even when you enter the Granada part of the movie, you are frequently called back to reality, showing what's happening to Cal.
Yeah.
So why did you take this decision? Because it can break the suspension of disbelief under a certain point of view, I guess.
Is that by cutting back and forth in between the Animus and Granada?
Yeah, I mean,
because it was a memory. You know, I think I was really interested in the idea and the point of view of a present day character that discovers who he is through the past. So, you know, I understand and appreciate that in the game you obviously spend more time in the past. You know, I think we found a really great balance in this film where we've embraced a kind of origin story of how someone discovers that they're an assassin and doesn't know that they're part of this tribe and legacy. You know, which is a really cool idea and concept for a journey of a character. And then we've kind of, I guess, like a roller coaster ride, kind of created these regressions in which he, you know, experiences these pretty dynamic sequences in the past that kind of inform who he is. And I just love the idea of the Animus too, you know, this machine that was able to sort of synchronize with, or help the character synchronize with his kind of alter ego in the past. And to be able to see those two characters kind of coexist and be able to kind of physically move and kind of do these action scenes together, I thought was a really interesting idea and a way of evolving the concept of the film from the game.
Okay. The world of Assassin's Creed is incredibly huge, big, and I think that even though the movie lasts around 2 hours, it is quite difficult for a gamer to see all the whole lore of Assassin's Creed squeezed into a movie. What about a TV show? I mean, TV series now are becoming increasingly popular. So, do you ever take into account the possibility of having a sort of Netflix TV show on Assassin's Creed with the same cast?
Well, I haven't been approached to be involved in that. I hear rumors that Ubisoft have been, you know, thinking about expanding Assassin's Creed into a different format. Look, it certainly has a lot of material there for you to sort of base any story off of, you know, especially a second and third film, if you want to. I think that's just the kind of inherent thing that engages people about the game, is that, you know, you get very different parts of history that you can go to, and you can choose many different ancestors to engage with.
some years ago they started making movies out of comics, and now there are a lot of movies taken out of comics. Should Assassin's Creed succeed at the box office, do you expect that it could be the first movie to start a new age in the movies industry?
Well, I think people have been really curious about video games and and adapting them to screen and whether they can be successful. I think it does come down to the story. I think it does come down to what the concept of the game is and whether that can be cinematic. Definitely with Assassins, it's it's a pretty rich world and it's a pretty cinematic world, and it's not based in any kind of fantasy. It's kind of almost based on a kind of plausible reality. So I think that I never saw it as a hurdle. The fact that it was a video game, I always appreciated that it was just a really cool idea and concept, and had the possibility of a great kind of protagonist story in it. So I'm not sure what will happen to the others, the other video games. I think anything's difficult to adapt. Obviously it depends on the team, and it also depends on the material that you have.
Which is the target you are aiming to with this movie? I mean, the fan of Assassin's Creed are very, very connected to the Ezio Auditore arc of narrative, which was set in Italy. Okay, you've decided to give not only a different, as I say, tone to the movie, but to explore a different narrative. Okay, I mean, the game has never taken you into Granada period and in that location. Why not choosing to go to the most popular location of the franchise, or to use the same character?
Because I think it would have been the easy option to do that. To do an appropriation of the game and go back to worlds and periods that, to be honest, have been so successfully done in the game. That I don't think it would have been as interesting for the fans. The Spanish Inquisition, 15th century Spain is a pretty extraordinary period to go back to, that seems to sort of naturally lend itself to the Assassin's Creed world. So that was a huge part of why I came on board, was to be able to be in that kind of period of history. And then, with the characters, I mean, I think if I put on screen our interpretation of Ezio, I think I would have been whipped. I think that there are some characters that, you kind of have to respect, that people have a very, very strong connection to them. So I felt it was very, very important that and so did Ubisoft, by the way, that you create a whole new storyline and a whole new set of characters that you can engage with outside the games.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.